What's up guys, Josh Mason here. I want to tell you about a quick story from about 8 or 9 years ago. I think it was my sophomore year in college. I remember, and I was on the phone with a client, and the client brought some story up, and then I realized that I had this crazy thing happen to me back in college and didn't even think anything of it at the time. And what happened is I was taking a lot of Adderall, okay? And I was taking a lot of Adderall, and Adderall would flush my bowels like crazy. And then I was taking Adderall to study for tests. And then when I would stop Adderall, the next 2 to 3 days, I was generally very constipated. And I remember having a physics midterm, maybe it was a final or a midterm. And I remember taking the test, finishing the test, going to the bathroom with a massive stomach ache. I think it was already a day and a half that I hadn't gone to the bathroom. And I literally fainted on the toilet, okay? You're gonna think I'm messing around, or you're gonna think I'm joking with you. I was pushing to go to the bathroom, and I was pushing so hard that I literally fainted on the toilet, and I woke up with my head underneath the stall and someone there saying, "Dude, are you okay? Are you okay?" I can't remember if it was my friend who saw me or if it was just someone else. And I looked at him and I was like, I just said, "Yeah, man, really hungover, really hungover." And I went back on the toilet, and I don't even remember if I had a chance to finish my business, or start my business rather. But at the time, I finished, not even sure if I went to the bathroom, went about my day, never thought about it again. Literally never thought about it again. I don't even think I told anyone about it. And it wasn't out of shame, or it wasn't out of embarrassment. It was like, it was just, these things happen, or it was just a thing that happened. It's not like I had any correlation between these bodily events and my health, right? Especially if it was just a one-time situation. And the reason I bring this story up is because it's a microcosm for a bigger subject, which is the level of disconnection our common culture, our common society has from their bodies. My story is an example of the way people are living on average. The way people are living on average is completely disconnected from, there's no communication with the body. There's no change of action or change of course, change of path due to the little signals that the body gives us. Fainting on the toilet is actually a pretty big sign, right? That's like the body saying, listen to me right now. But there are tons of other little signs along the way that we generally ignore as well. Stomach aches, nausea, dizziness, pains here and there. There are so many things that now that I'm very sensitive and very, in tune with my body, there are so many things that normal people deal with and just write it off. They just write it off and continue moving forward, continue moving forward. There's no changes that are made due to these little signs. And the way I've discovered that the body works is that it gives you a little sign, and then it gives you something a little louder, a little louder, a little louder, and you could ignore even really loud signs. Okay, you could ignore, not just me, I'm sure you'd be capable at one point in your life of ignoring fainting on the toilet as well, or anything of that magnitude. And eventually we get hit with something so big that there is no longer a choice. We are forced to throw away all of our beliefs, ideals, all of our things that we think are important, our desires. And healing is a lot harder and a lot more expensive once you reach that breaking point, that body burden point. So my best advice to you, especially to those who are on a budget or who count their pennies, is to start your healing now. The common thing I get all the time is, I'm too broke, or I can't afford this, blah, 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 blah. There's never a time in anyone's life where they should not be able to afford health. Even if it's just getting a juice per day, or making a juice, or buying a few supplements. You can always afford to do something. If you can afford to live and eat, you can afford to do pretty much something when it comes to your health. And so the point here is to listen to those little signs, to recognize that nothing is, you know, I believe on some level, every little thing that we feel and experience is connected to something. Whether it's as simple as a stomach ache, or a sneeze, or a cough. Now, we're not going to go crazy and try and analyze exactly where every cough comes from, or exactly where every sneeze comes from. That's crazy, I get it. But to know that there really aren't any isolated incidents. Everything has a root. Everything. So when you start experiencing those signs from your body, these regular stomach aches, constipation, maybe it's anxiety, maybe it's depression, maybe it's a pain in your throat, pain in your certain part of your body, listen to it. Listen to it now. The more you listen to it now, the less money, effort, time, and suffering you'll have to go through and use, and less life force you'll have to use to course correct. Course correction becomes harder when we hit that body burden point. Now we're talking about a complete change of everything, which for some people is a beautiful thing and needed. And if you're anything like me, you'll need course corrections all the time, because, you know, I'm always pushing myself. I'm always pushing myself, and not necessarily changing until that real significant pain comes my way. So I'm not saying this is easy to listen to those soft messages, those low messages, but important nonetheless. So had I been utilizing my own advice back in college, of course I would have stopped adderall. Of course I would never let myself get that constipated. And of course I would never strain my bowels so intensely on the toilet. And I probably would have dropped out of college because it was a giant waste of money. So anyway, tune into those low hums that your body's giving you right now, and see what you can do differently. What types of foods can you stop eating? What types of stressors can you eliminate from your life, or transcend, or adopt a new paradigm around those stressors? What kind of people in your life no longer serve you? Okay, that's all I got for you tonight. Have a beautiful night.
Summer in the hills, those hazy days I do remember. We were running still, had the whole world at our feet, watching seasons change.